Hey everyone, it's James from FunFoods, and today I'm going to show you how to make these red velvet cinnamon buns. Now these are absolutely amazing, so keep watching and I'll show you step by step how to make these. The first thing we need is a large bowl. I'm using the bowl for my stand mixer because I'm going to use the stand mixer to mix this up. You can do it by hand. I'm just going to go the easy route. So we have that. We also have one package, which is a box mix of red velvet cake. You can make your own homemade red velvet cake, but I wouldn't know the exact measurements of how much to use. This way I know exactly how much to use. So we need that. We need a couple cups of flour. I got 1 cup so far, and some active dry yeast. Take out our bowl. Just dump all your red velvet cake mix into the bowl. We also want to dump 1 cup of flour. This is all-purpose flour. Then I have 1 package of active dry yeast. This is 1/4 of an ounce per package. So we're just going to cut this up. Pour that whole package in there. So at this stage, I'm bringing in my stand mixer, and I'm going to put this on here. Using my paddle attachment at this stage, and we're just going to mix up the dry ingredients right now. Just give it a little mix. Not too much. Now what we're going to do is activate the yeast by using 1 1/4 cup of warm water. Make sure it's lukewarm, not too hot, or else it'll kill the yeast. Not too cold or it won't activate it. So let's pour that in there. And we're just going to mix this up slowly. So after you mix that up pretty good, just a couple minutes, you'll notice it's still a very wet dough. We want to make it a lot drier, like a dough that you can work with. So I'm going to add another cup of flour and mix that in. All right, so it's still pretty wet. So now I'm going to add about 1/2 cup because I don't want to do too much. So let's do about half. And see how it looks. All right, so when the dough has pulled away from the side like that, I'm just going to pop off our mixer here. I'm switching to a dough hook now just to make things a little easier. And I'm going to do it for just a couple minutes with the dough hook. Now I'm going to add about 1/2 of the 1/2 cup I have left, so that's 1/4 cup more of the flour, because it's still a little bit wet. All right, so that's it. If you don't have a dough hook, don't worry, you can knead it by hand. It'll just take you about 5 minutes or so kneading it. Dough hook works great. Let's take that off there. So this is what it looks like. So we have our dough, and this giant red ball basically is what we have here. Just take it by your hands and kind of fold it underneath. It'll still be a little wet, but not too wet. Olive oil. And kind of rub this around in there, get that dough oiled up. Now just take some plastic wrap this up. Now we're just going to take this and put this in a warm place away from airflow. What I like to do is put it in my microwave. Of course, I don't heat it up or anything, just to keep it away from the airflow. We're going to do that for at least an hour or 2 until it doubles in size. Now our dough is almost ready. Before we do that, we want to make our cinnamon sugar mixture. So all I have is a small bowl. I have 1/2 cup of packed brown sugar. And I'm going to add to that 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. Now just mix this up and combine that cinnamon and sugar. We're going to set this aside and come back to it shortly. So our dough has been proofing for about 2 hours. It didn't quite double in size, but that's okay. I think it'll be all right. We'll be able to work with it. Now what we want to do is lightly coat our surface with some flour, and also our rolling pin we'll coat with some flour. And all we're going to do, we'll flatten this out. We want to make a rectangle shape. So try to get it somewhat as a rectangle. You want to make it about 1/4 inch in thickness, so pretty flat. There you go, and it doesn't have to be a perfect rectangle, but as long as it's mostly a rectangle shape. Now we're going to take some melted butter and brush it on our dough here. Now that we have our melted butter on there, all I'm going to do is come back to our cinnamon and brown sugar mixture and spread it out. Now we're going to roll this up and do it the long ways. Just take it and just going to roll this up. Now we're just going to let this proof for about an hour. So we'll just take some dish towels, damp dish towel, and just put it over top of it. Come back to it in an hour. So we let our dough proof for about an hour. It didn't raise a lot, but that's okay. We're still going to work with this. And I have a pan, and I already buttered this pan. We're going to cut this up and just start from one side. You want to cut about 1 inch, like so. And just take those and put it in your buttered pan. Just leave a little bit of space in between each one because they will puff up. And I filled up this baking sheet, and I still had a few more. I'll cook those after these are done. I'm going to put them in the oven at 350 degrees for between 15 and 18 minutes. And when they puff up, then we know they're done. Now we need to make the cream cheese icing that's going to go on top of our red velvet cinnamon rolls. And they're in the oven right now. They still have a few more minutes left, but we need to make this so they're ready to go right on top of the hot buns. Now, in a medium bowl, I have 4 ounces of cream cheese that's softened at room temperature. I'm also going to add about 4 tablespoons of butter that's also softened at room temperature, about a teaspoon of vanilla extract. We're just going to blend this up, and then we're going to start adding some confectionery sugar. Now I have a cup of confectionery sugar here, but I'm only going to add about 1/4 of a cup at a time and blend it in. All right, so only about 1/2 cup in total I needed on the confectionery sugar, so this is the consistency I'm looking for. Perfect icing. Now all we gotta do is wait for our cinnamon buns to come out of the oven. All right, so after 15 minutes, these look amazing. You can see the glistening of that cinnamon and sugar. They puffed up good. Now we're just gonna glaze them right here in the pan. So take our icing and just cover, put some just on the middle there. It'll spread. Put a little bit on the middle of each one. All right, so that's it. That is our red velvet cinnamon buns. Now all we gotta do is try it out. Well, now it's time for the taste test. I'm gonna cut this open and see how this red velvet cinnamon bun tastes. So here we go. It's good. I could have left it in the oven a little bit longer. It was 15 minutes at 350, but probably want to do at least 17 minutes. The outside could be a little crispier, but it's good. Well, thanks everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching me make these red velvet cinnamon buns. It's something different and they taste amazing. So I hope you get a chance to make them for yourself. And if you do, please share it with me on any of my social media at FunFoodsYT. Also, check out some of the videos I have off to the side. And until then, I'll see you next time. I'm mixing my stand mixer. Let's start over. I can't talk. Red velvet cinnamon run. Cinnamon bun. Cinnamon run, huh? The first thing we need to think about what you're going to say before you say it. All right, so after you've done...